Hello, dear friends. I didn't have a topic today, but the Fed president went off the deep and gave me the idea. This issue is very appropriate for Friday the 30th, which is today. Opinion piece. Try to land as best as possible. A soft landing is hard. Jerome Powell talks about pain. Stock close nearly flat. Suicide of the Western economy. A soft landing would be a slowdown. A hard landing would be a hard recession. Stock markets are undergoing wild swings. Humankind is at the crossroads because of drought. Russia halts gas supplies to Germany in warning to Europe. Let's start. For years, we have been sedated with pious phrases like soft transition or controlled demolition, but newly confirmed Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell acknowledges in an interview that a soft landing could be quite challenging and that controlling inflation would cause some pain because he couldn't bring himself to say the typical bad movie phrase, "pain, lots of pain." In quotes. The stock markets are suffering wild swings in volatile sessions. The media are saying that the dolce vita of the Western economy is running out, and Russia is cutting off gas supplies to Europe to further complicate the picture, while the war in Ukraine shows no signs of ending, but rather festering. No one knows where all this will end, unless we believe in divine providence and happy endings, but I have not lost faith. If planet Earth introduces a different matrix system based on 5 main factors, environment, health, food, education and happiness, many more jobs will be created to naturally restore and improve our wealth. Real wealth comes from real money, making real things and providing real services, which are the opposite of debt. Definitions. A soft landing in economics is a cyclical slowdown in economic growth that avoids recession. A soft landing is the goal of a central bank when it seeks to raise interest rates to prevent an economy from overheating and experiencing high inflation without causing a severe recession. To achieve a soft landing, government officials and central banks will gradually reduce expansionary fiscal and monetary policy to curb price inflation without sacrificing jobs or unnecessarily inflicting economic harm on indebted individuals and corporations. A hard landing refers to a sharp economic downturn that follows a period of rapid growth. The term crash landing comes from aviation, where it refers to the type of high-speed landing that, while not an actual crash, is a source of stress as well as potential damage and injury. The metaphor is used to high-flying economies that encounter a sudden and sharp shock on their growth, such as a monetary policy intervention aimed at curbing inflation. Economies that experience a hard landing often fall into a period of stagnation or even recession. The more dependent the economy becomes on fiscal stimulus or easy money, the more difficult it becomes to abandon expansionary policy, and the more vulnerable the economy becomes to a hard landing due to even minor controls on expansionary policy. This results in a hard landing, where slowdown or halt in expansionary macroeconomic policy can precipitate a stock market crash, a financial crisis, or a collapse in investor confidence. Hollywood metaphor. Land as you can or airplane is the typical story of mid-flight medical emergency caused by bad food, with the passengers being rescued by a former military man. A masterpiece of 80s absurdist comedy that parodies all the air disaster movies that were trained during the 70s. Land as You Can or Airplane hit theaters in 1980, and paradoxically, it's not a film that should be quarantined as stale or outdated. On the contrary, its surreal jokes sound fresh. The film was presented as a parody of disaster movies, but in reality it is much more than a parasitic quack. On the plane, all the passengers and crew are unwell due to food poisoning. Ted Stryker, a former fighter pilot with a drinking problem and a fear of flying, must cooperate to land with his ex-girlfriend and a stewardess on the plane. But he will not only have to overcome his trauma, he will also have to deal with bad weather, the nerves of the crew, the coming and goings of strange passengers and his ex-girlfriend. Crazy stuff. A soft landing is usually not the best type of landing, especially when landing in bad weather, where firm contact is desirable. During most textbook landings, you would actually expect to feel a noticeable but not uncomfortable jolt. If there is bad weather and the landing is perfectly smooth, the pilot probably made a mistake and floated down the runway, wasting valuable braking space and leaving us in the most dangerous phase of flight for a longer period. Economy. First, suicide of the Western economy. The Dolce Vita is over. Second, stocks close almost flat after wild swings. Third, with the massive stock sell-off on the rise, opinions abound as to where it will end. Fourth, BlackRock has a worsening macro outlook and sees little chance or a perfect economic scenario. Markets. First, Brent crude oil rises nearly 4% in another volatile session. Second, gold posts its worst day in a week as a rising dollar sinks prices to 3-month lows. Third, silver railed on dollar weakness. Fourth, copper sinks below $9,000 as metals fall on global demand fears. 5. Apple shares have tumbled. 6. Apple shares suffered the biggest two-day sell-off in 20 months. 7. Apple falls 22% from January peak as massive tech sell-off spreads. 8. Coinbase plunges on Wall Street after big drops in cryptocurrencies. 9. The euro will reach parity against the dollar this year, says Europe's largest fund manager. 10. Indian rupee falls to an all-time low as stocks plunge on inflation concerns. 11. Now USA. First, fires grow in New Mexico and California. Second, wildfire sweeps through at least 20 mansions in California. Third, Senate confirms Jerome Powell for a second term at the Fed. 4. Trump must pay $110,000 fine for failing to turn over documents in civil investigation. 5. Elon Musk claims he will cancel Twitter's decision to veto Donald Trump. 6. Tesla will have to repair 129,960 vehicles due to a problem with its displays. 7. A Republican senator seeks to take away Disney's copyright. 8. US says it is prepared to attack Afghanistan if it sees threat. Europe. First, Russia halts gas supplies to Germany as a warning to Europe. Second, Germany accuses Russia of weaponizing energy as crisis escalates. Third, year-on-year inflation in Germany hits 40-year high and reaches 7.4%. 4. Gazprom cuts gas supplies to Europe via Poland. 5. Russia may cut gas supplies to Finland on Friday. 6. Finland's leaders in favor of applying to join NATO. 7. MEPs back new European Union Mauritania Fisheries Pact. Russia. First, Russia threatens to retaliate if Finland joins NATO. Second, Russia's oil revenues up to 50% this year despite boycott, says IEA. Third, Russia denies that the global food crisis is its fault. 4. Putin blamed the West for the global crisis and says Russia is resisting sanctions. 5. Indian refiners buy 30 million barrels of Russian oil for delivery in May and June. Ukraine. First, US rolls out Moscow's use of hypersonic missiles over Odessa. Second, US approves 38 billion euros for aid to Ukraine. Third, more than 6 million have left Ukraine since February 24th, according to the United Nations. Fourth, Russian media openly talk about military vacillation in Ukraine and call for better leadership. 5. Pathways open to transport grain from Ukraine. The European Commission has called on companies to urgently send trucks and trains that can help reduce the waiting time at the border, now set at an average of 16 days with maximums of 30 days. Spain. The Spanish stock market rises 2.13% on Wednesday and regains 8,300 points by Wall Street. Second, the Spanish stock market falls 1.35% on Thursday and ends at 8,200 points due to Wall Street. Third, Sanchez announces that the government will cap the average gas price this Friday at 48.8 euros for a year. 4. Spain announces that it will reopen its land border with Morocco. 5. Spain and Morocco will reopen their borders on May 17th in a gradual manner. 6. The government will approve a new abortion law to deactivate the appeal of the PP in the Constitutional Court. 7. Spain advances in a new law reform, no parental permission to abort from 16-year-old, and sick leave of painful rules. 8. A priest is sentenced to more than 7 years in prison for abuse of a minor in Murcia. 9. Barcelona presents in New York its offer to attract quality tourism. Americas. First, the EC urges the signing of agreements with Chile, Mexico, and Mercosur in the face of China's strength. Second, thousands displaced by gang war in Haiti. Third, human rights defender warns of secret detentions in El Salvador. 4. Credit inequality limits women entrepreneurs in Central America. Mexico. First, López Obrador insists on the unity of the continent at the Summit of the Americas. Second, 14 journalists murdered in Mexico in the last 2 decades. Third, Enrique Metinides, a legend of photojournalism in Mexico, dies. 4. Mexican airlines and authorities agree to increase flights at the new Felipe Ángeles International Airport. Guatemala. First, a judge investigating war crimes in Guatemala is threatened. Second, Guatemalan judges condemn attacks on colleagues who sent military to trial. Colombia. First, the murder in Colombia of a prominent Paraguayan prosecutor points to organized crime. Second, Medellin mayor's dismissal for his support of Petro generates political storm. Third, Iván Duque appoints the new mayor of Medellin. Argentina. First, earthquake of magnitude 6.4 shakes the extreme northwest of Argentina. Second, Argentina creates roundtable with experts to analyze cases of childhood hepatitis. Third, Argentina is getting ready for a major leap as well lithium producer. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.